first, but here I am. 'Cause I've been laying under palm trees, waiting for the summer, knowing there's nowhere to go. 'Cause I am happy on this island, wanna be my farmland. I don't ever want to leave, I'm in a tropic club.
Welcome, goalies. Coach Devon here. I hope social distancing has been good to you. Kind of hanging out at home and catching up on some things that you wanted to do for a while. I know that's the case here. Sometimes it's good to take a step back and just kind of do that. Today we're going to be talking about some nutrition elements that you can adopt during this time into your daily routines, and also just talking about some stuff in the off season that'll help you. So let's get started. So not only am I, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Coach Devon Butz at Goalrobber.hockey schools, but not only am I a goalie coach, I'm also a certified personal trainer and a registered dietitian. And which is cool because I have the privilege of combining these trades to help goalies succeed on and off the ice. Throughout this presentation, I'll encourage you guys to pop in the chat. I got chat open, so you guys will be able to hear me there. And if I need to fix some audio levels or something, just let me know. And we should be good to go here. I've boiled down my top 5 nutrition principles, and this is what we're going to base our talk on today. Number 1, meal plans are unique to each person. Meaning, 6'2" Adam can't share his meal plan with Susie or Jim or Rachel down the street and just expect for them all to get gains at the same rate. Gender plays a huge role. Obviously, weight plays a big role, and height. And so many other factors, you guys. Medical situations that might differentiate one person from another person. But most importantly, what makes you unique is what do you love? Your favorite foods. And as a dietitian, when I sit down with clients and I try to put together a meal plan for them, the number one question that I ask is, what are your favorite foods? What are things you cannot live without that you just have to have in your meal plan? And then we find a way, we either modify it with a recipe that makes it healthier, or we find a way to put it in, and everything's good in moderation, right? Number 2, meal plans must be sustainable. If you don't love it, you will not continue it. I've seen it so many times. Simply put, even the most stubborn of souls could not continue a meal plan that they did not like. I'd give them like 2 months. And sometimes we say that, I give them 2 months on this plan when they look up some crazy lose weight quick scheme, or let's get gains really really fast. Whatever your goal is, you have to find a plan that's sustainable long term, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. Number 3, your plan does not have to be complicated. Now, an easy plan will be sustainable. A complicated plan, again, going back to sustainability, I don't know many people that can do a complicated plan for a long term. And it will get easier. That's the truth. At first, it might be complicated, and you have to stick with it. It's like anything in life. And we're going to talk about how things at first, like meal prepping, it can be difficult, but once you get in a routine, it becomes so easy. Number 4, a healthy relationship with food is vital. Now, we all have to eat. It's something that we have to do to get energy to go about our day. So we all have a relationship with food. It's something that ties human beings together. Okay, got that figured out. I don't know what happened there, but my microphone just decided to turn off, so I apologize for that, guys. Can you tell me the last spot where we left off? We can just jump back. It's super simple to get back on there. I've got that situation figured out right now. Got it. So it won't go dead anymore, but that is just a weird thing that happened. Um, Wherever we left off, guys, we can pop back on. Kind of expect some of this stuff to happen in a live video from here on out, but I don't know what happened. Anyway, we're boiling it down to this. If you didn't hear it, your meal plan has to be unique. Everybody's different. We are finding a sustainable plan that you love, that's easy. You have to have a healthy relationship with food. What that looks to you is going to be different from the person next to you. And you're fueling yourself for performance. You guys got stuck on vital. Okay, so thanks, Kale. So we're looking at, or Quinn, whichever one of you that is. Thanks for tuning in. Talking about fuel for performance, and I want to make this plug because it's important. One of my favorite dietitians, Danielle Rancourt, she says, and if you haven't seen it, look her up, Danny the RD on Instagram. Fantastic content she puts out. You should aim to fuel for performance. Fuel, like you're putting in a sports car. So you're not going to go and put the ethanol fuel in your sports car to go down the highway and have it just sputter, and you're not just going to say, all right, well, it's okay for now. It'll get me from point A to point B, whether or not, I get good mileage or we are able to go at top capacity for the vehicle is fine. You'd put the octane in there, probably even premium plus a little extra octane because it's a high prize item. So is your body. Why wouldn't you put the greatest, highest quality food, the best fuel in your body before practice, games, and all of that? Yeah, that was Nate calling me. So I think you guys can hear me now. Everything good? Thumbs up. We're moving on. Jump into the next screen. Everything should be set up. Starting off with the first one. You are unique. These are our 3 macronutrients here. You guys have probably seen these. You're probably pretty familiar with them, but I want to go over them because us as goaltenders, and did I mention the greatest position sports has ever known, we are a mixture, actually, of an endurance athlete and what you would have more of a power or a quick twitch athlete. Now, there are moments when we're called on the scene to make a huge save, and we have to do that. We have to just spontaneously react. But I'd say we're more of an endurance athlete. We have to last 3 periods on the ice the whole time. We might have to go into overtime. So for us to put something together here, I want to just mention that this is what I come up with for the best scales for a goaltender, not necessarily every person out there. Talking about fats, one of the most essential macronutrients that so many people get afraid. They hear the word fat and they just get afraid. That is just not the case. Fats are so important. Someone let me know in the chat if everything is solid, and just so I can be more secure and know we're going good. So we're aiming to get 25% to 30% of fat in our diet. And that's just boiling down the amount of calories that you get. If you scale it out, we're looking at 25 to 30%. And I'm aiming more on that high end, 30%. That's what gets you through that third period. Fats help you with long-term energy. That's what makes endurance athletes last the competition. Sweet Stewie Thunder, we got it. Next one, carbohydrates. And this is the big one, central focus, 55 to 65%. Now, it's essential, but I have seen athletes on a keto diet make it. Thanks, Tori. Thanks, Tristan. So if you necessarily are on like a low-carb diet, it can work, but we're keeping it simple today. We're looking at carbohydrates as a whole. I would recommend for a goaltender out there, talking to anyone, upwards to 60% of our energy from carbs. And this leaves a smaller portion for proteins, but which I'll talk about here in a second. Proteins are kind of fluctuating based on how much you train. So in season, you might have been at 15%, you might have been at 20. Now out of the season, let's say you're going to ramp it up to 25, and you take out some carbs, 5% carbs, or maybe you take 2.5 off of carbs and 2.5 out of fats. You can see how these all fluctuate to fit 100%. But with proteins, or let's go back and break down these. I got all off because of the sound thing, guys. I'm sorry. I'm not back now. Okay, so when we're looking at fats, we're talking about nuts and seeds. We're talking about butters, oils. We're talking about fish, which have omega-3 fatty acids in them, as opposed to omega-6, which is what we get all the time from the meats that we eat. And omega-3s, they help with circulation. They help get nutrients to places where they need to go. They help us recover after workouts. Avocados, that's a great fat, solid right there. Carbs, we're looking at our whole grains, rice, bread, noodles, and more importantly, this is where we kind of get into, there's a higher quality and there's a lower quality, but the timing of it is important. And we're going to talk about when to have whole grains, when to have refined grains. Vegetables fit in the carbs category as starches, and they all have their own benefits. Fruits and vegetables combined, all different colors, they all have different benefits. We'll save that for another chat sometime, but basically, if you have all your orange vegetables, great. You're having sweet potatoes, you're having carrots. Your eyes are probably really good with the beta carotene, but in the end, how are your antioxidant levels? So we got to look at all of those across the board. And then beans, great source of starch, a little bit of protein as well, but beans are definitely in the starch category. Looking at proteins, we're talking about our other meats. We want you to choose lean most of the time. Dairy products and non-dairy protein sources like soy, tofu, other things. Also, we're looking at the dairy category. Some of you we can talk about later. It'll be where whey protein fits in. But here's what I want to say about protein. You are unique because let's say we have a 200-pound athlete and they come in and they want to know how much protein they need. Well, I calculate out, let's say they have like a 3,000 calorie diet. We do the math we figure out that they need about 190 grams of protein, let's say. Okay, so if that person that's 200 pounds would share that plan with someone who's 150 pounds, they're on the exact same plan. Now that person that's 150 pounds, if I made a plan for them, they would only need 150 grams of protein. So now they're getting almost upwards to 50 more grams than they need, which is very hard on the kidneys. And it's not necessary in their plan, which means that all these other things in their plan are actually going down. So like 150 grams of protein for someone that's 150 pounds is a high amount of protein already, and to increase that more would just take away from the carbs and probably their fats for long energy. So you can see how everyone is unique. You all have different plans, and we're going to go over a little bit more of that here. We're always striving for quality over quantity. I had to test you there on that one. Quality first on our different types of foods, and with hydration. So before we get started on this, you guys know that your body's made up of mostly water. That water is stored in your muscles, and it's used for transportation in so many different ways. So your water levels are important for your training. Regulates body temperature, helps with your performance just so much. Being dehydrated the slightest amount will actually decrease your performance tenfold. So guys, that means that if you are dehydrated by 1%, if you lost 1% of your body water, the typical amount of water that your body needs to perform, just 1%. I mean, that's just the tiniest little bit of sweat because you didn't bring your water bottle with you on the net. Now your performance just went down 10%. So instead of being 100% on, you're 90% there for the game. And take 2%, now you're 20% out. You're at 80%. On a test or an exam in school, 80% it's a big difference when it comes to your long-term goal. 80% save percentage is not good. It's a valiant effort, and it happens sometimes, when you play tough teams. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to happen to you guys, but when you see upward level play, it's not a good save percentage. So that's important. And I think fluids they're underrated. They're almost more important than the macros. So here are some guidelines you can run by. Drink half your body weight in ounces per day. That 200-pound guy we talked about earlier, we want them to have how much? 100 ounces of water every single day. And with activity, that even goes up higher. So we're looking at adding 16 ounces of water 2 hours before your activity. So guys, let's say you get to the rink 2 hours before a game. You want to have 16 ounces of water right then and there. And then right before you step on the ice or work out, you want to have another 8 ounces. Now, it's not a lot. If you're looking at a typical water bottle, you're looking at 16 fluid ounces already to 24 for most water bottles. So drinking just a water bottle when you get to the rink, it's really not a big deal. What I will say here is if you guys just jump in and do this, it's going to be kind of a shock to the body. So make sure you work your way up. Don't just start with 16 and 8 because you probably get through halfway through practice or after the first period, and you're going to have to pee pretty bad. That's just the reality of it. Your body has to get used to handling that much fluid. Have water available for your workout, on your net in games, on your net in practice, on the bench. Say, hey coach, I need to get some water. Just step out of your net, get some water. You have every right to drink water. That I can't stress enough. Lastly here, sports drinks, juice, all those things, they're great. They help hydrate you in the long run, but when we're looking at like sports drinks, it's great to replenish electrolytes after very strenuous activity, hour and a half at least, up to 2 hours of activity, then you can have a Gatorade. So you go out for your game, great. You can have something afterwards. It helps replenish. It helps refuel you. We're going to talk about later when we talk about post-workout. But it's really not something you want to have right before activity unless you're anticipating. Like if you're a marathon runner or something, you could definitely have during, before, if you anticipate a really long stretch. But before a hockey game for a goaltender, it's just not the best option. Juice, not the best option. Great for after. Coffee and tea, on the other hand, is actually, it can work as a stimulant, depends upon how much you drink per day. A lot of the athletes that use coffee as a small stimulant for their workload are the ones that they don't have coffee in the morning, they don't have coffee anytime. Their body's not used to it. They just jump it in on game day. And even in an NHL schedule, I'd bet that if you had coffee before every game, since they have such long stretch games, your body would probably get used to it, and it really wouldn't be that much of a factor on your performance. But a lot of athletes are kind of going to coffee tea. So let's move on to building this plan that you love. This ultimate plan. You have to ask yourself, what are your favorite foods? And I want you guys to pop in the chat and throw in some of your favorite foods, whether it be pizza, spaghetti, you name it. Doesn't matter. Throw in your favorite foods. Let me know what they are. And then I would ask you, is your plan, and this is something you'll ask yourself after you would sit down and make your plan, is it full of high quality fuel? And if your favorite foods aren't high quality and you know that, then you can find a place where they fit. If your plan is 80% high quality fuel and 20% fun foods, even some ice cream, some candy, some things that you just like I said, you can't live without. If your can't live without is Oreos, we can figure it out. Maybe we make a healthy shake for you, but that is why a person would like consult with a dietitian. When in doubt, consult with the dietitian, meet with us. We can definitely sit down and come up with ways for you to succeed. Most importantly, with a sustainable plan is asking the question, can you see yourself succeeding down the road, you could say, in 2 months? And do you see yourself doing this in 2 months, 6 months, a year down the road? Can you be on this diet for the entire season? And when I say diet, guys, I don't mean like you guys are on a strict diet and you're trying to lose weight. A diet is a meal plan. It's the same thing. In my book, I use them interchangeably. So if I use diet, it doesn't mean that it's something bad that you're trying to do. It's your plan. Everyone has a unique diet. So what I'll say is, like, for instance, again, sustainability. If your favorite foods are spaghetti and pizza, you probably wouldn't get too far on a keto low carb diet. It's just how it is. So we have to figure out what works for you. It does not have to be complex. We are keeping it simple. Talk about some of these points. We'll break them down a little bit more. It takes just about as much time, you guys, to make a high quality meal. Honestly, if you put someone side by side that had experience with it and prepped meals, they'd probably make it in the exact same time. You can make a box of mac and cheese, a packet of those noodles that everyone just loves. Not talking about ramen. I'm just talking about all these different things. I mean, even ramen, some of these things, I mean, there's a time and a place, and you can just run and you grab those things. but in general, prepping meals is about the same amount of time it takes as even making like something hamburger helper. It's almost just as easy to make your own from scratch with minimal ingredients. If you guys turn it over and you see the ingredients list, and the ingredients list on the back is more than 5, 10 ingredients, there should be a big red flag up on whatever you're using, and we're going to talk about some of that in a bit as well. One thing that you can do is you can prep some meals. First off, just prepping meals, but also prepping meals in advance. So for right now, we have this COVID-19 season. Let's say some of you are at home and you don't even know what you're going to have for lunch. Maybe your parents are still working and you're on your own. Maybe they're at home and this is all just going to be beneficial to you. But what I'd say is a great thing you could do is on Sunday night, make some chicken breasts, throw 6 chicken breasts in the oven, cook them so that they're like 160. 165 would be where you want for poultry, but let's say you just undercook a little bit because you anticipate microwaving it or something later on. So what you do is you boil up some noodles, right? Takes a couple minutes. Take the chicken breast that you did, shred it, put it in the microwave, couple seconds to a minute, and find some Alfredo sauce that's less than 5 ingredients. You can definitely do it. Find some spaghetti sauce that's less than a few ingredients. These pre-made sauces, there are some good stuff out there. Or just grab a can of tomato sauce and throw some seasonings in it. Make your own, and you know what's in it. You know all the ingredients that's in it. Throw it all on the noodles, and you've got yourself a dish for lunch. And if you could make 6 chicken breasts on Sunday, you've got spaghetti for the week. If you guys are able to eat the same thing for lunch for an entire week, that's the way to go. You just say, this is my meal for the week. I'm going to sit down and make my lunches on Sunday, and this is what I'm bringing. This is what I'm having at home, whatever the case may be for you. The other thing that we would do is sit down and create a family household menu. Now, this is something that my wife and I do that we just absolutely love because it helps us to look forward to foods that are coming up. That's one. Also helps us to stick to our budget. So we'll make menu and our plan, our meals will be within like a certain dollar amount. And we'll plan for some leftovers and things. It might not always happen, but it's something to plan for. And it also is a way to get your family together in the first place. So especially if there's things that are crazy, like during the hockey season, you guys, there's practice at crazy times. It's hard to sit down and have dinner together. So even just sitting down and planning meals is a time to gather around food, which is what it's all about. Next, you could make a food log. And we're going to talk about an app that you could use at the end. For this, the reason why you'd make a food log, you might be looking at this like, why would I ever in my right mind make a food log? I'll tell you why. Because let's say you show up for game day and you have an amazing game. And you're like, what did I do? I want to do that again. You can go back to your food log and you can say, okay, at the beginning of the season, I was really performing. What was I eating? I'd encourage all you guys to write down your food because let's say you write down something for practice and you find out that it just wasn't right for you. It just didn't work for practice. And you go back and look and you realize that you just can't have potatoes because they just fill you up too much. And oh, hey, you had the skin on your potatoes and that has a lot of fiber in it and it weighed you down. And you can maybe pinpoint those things by making a food log. So I would encourage you to do that. And also if you meet with a dietitian, it's super helpful to just have a food log to jump in. And it doesn't have to be every day. One weekday, one weekend, special occasions, game days. You can sit down and put together something, but there's apps out there we'll talk about that you can actually scale out your macros in, and that's what's really exciting. Last thing is you got to find some accountability. If you find someone or if you have a group that can help you stay accountable to your plan, that can help you stay accountable to the things that you need to do and to stick with it when it's tough, that is going to keep it simple for you and help you to last so that you get over that hump like we do even in training with food. It's the same way. You get over that hump and then everything gets a lot easier when it comes to prepping meals, making menus, and logging your food. The next thing to make it simple is shopping the right way. So many people do it so wrong, and it's difficult to see, and it actually, I mean, it can be summed up right here. Check your pantry before you go out, because odds are you guys have so much stuff back there. And I know personally with what's going on now, we've been making sure, do we have this? Do we have this before we go out? Because we don't want to have to go out as too many times, risk of getting sick and this and that. And we found so many things that we have that, I mean, they're non-perishables, so we can have them now, but we didn't even know we had. We're still purchasing these things, cans of beans and such. So check your pantry, clean out, maybe there's National Fridge Cleaning Day. Get into that, get that stuff figured out, because you will find so many hidden gems in the background. Next would be to, again, you're planning out your menu, but then you plan out just throw your grocery list together with your menu. It takes 15 minutes, you guys, to sit down and plan your menu, and you can often do it around a family game. You can do it around an outing, anything. It's pretty simple. Um, if you plan out like a week of meals at a time, you go to the store less. And during like this time now, you might plan out a month in advance. You're going for a big trip, but you don't have to go out as much. And then purchase non-perishables in bulk, something that I've learned to do all the time. If we're getting rice, if we're getting anything canned, we're getting it from Sam's in bulk, whatever's available to you if you have a Costco in your area. Grab that stuff in bulk, because you know you're going to go through it, and you often save lots of money while doing it, and then you have to go out way less. So at the end here, again, it makes shopping way less frequent and a lot cheaper as well. If you wander around the store, that's when you get lost and you start to find all these processed foods. When you're grocery shopping around the outside, fun fact, you've probably heard this, around the outside is always where the freshest, less ingredient foods are. I mean, if you think about it, you got your dairy aisle, milk's pretty much just a few ingredients. You got your eggs all the way around your produce, and it's all the best stuff. But once you start going down the aisles, you get into the box stuff, you get into the cereal bars, you get into all the stuff that's just a danger. So watch out for that. If you have a plan going to the store in the first place, you know what you're getting, then wandering is going to be way less of an issue. And you're in and you're out. It takes way less time. Here we're going to talk about building a breakfast, and I want you guys to actually physically build a breakfast. If you guys have some paper or something in front of you, or use the chat to just throw in some stuff. What I would say if I was going to build a breakfast here while I give you guys a moment is like what I had today. It was perfect. I feel great. I had 2 eggs, 2 slices of peanut butter toast, and 1 full-fat cup of Greek yogurt. I got this new yogurt, and I'm just loving it. I say full fat here because, again, you guys are athletes. It's so good to have that fat, and like a yogurt fat, a milk fat is good. As long as you don't have a milk allergy or any sensitivity, it's really good. And so make sure that you guys, it's small things like that, you're going to have adjustments. If you're an athlete and you live with your parents still, they might not be eating full-fat yogurt because they're not necessarily in their prime for athleticism, but you are. And so that's where you're going to differentiate yourself from your family. And I'll talk about a couple more areas in a little bit when we talk about quality. But one thing you got to try if you haven't already. Most people that I've made meal plans for have checked this out. One of my staples, and many people's staples, is the idea of overnight oats. You can go classic with peanut butter banana. You've read it on the screen. Great overnight oats. All you're going to do for these guys is mix the liquid with the oats and basically let it sit. With the peanut butter one, I throw the peanut butter in and let it kind of flavor up everything. But I leave the fruits out until the morning of. So you can throw, if you choose to use chia seeds, you can throw the chia seeds in. That's no problem. It doesn't get soggy or anything. But the fruit it can get mushy and not as textury. I don't know, it's kind of an issue for me. It might not be for you. But right away in the morning, all I have to do is pull it out of the fridge and throw on my half banana that's sliced and I might even just eat the other banana because I want 2 fruits for the morning, and boom, I'm done. And then this blueberry muffin one, you guys have to try. It's awesome. I just put 1 tablespoon of like real maple syrup, one ingredient, maple syrup, and some blueberries in the morning, and it is fantastic. So if you guys haven't checked these out, definitely give these a try. Great way to build breakfast, and you're getting a mixture of protein, carbs, and fat right away in the morning, and then have your glass of water to start off the day right. So we're going to talk about how healthy is your relationship, and just asking you a couple questions to be self-aware. So do you feel like you eat too much, too little, or just the right amount, which would be ideal for you? You want to be eating the right amount of food. Some days it might fluctuate. You might eat too much on one day or too little on another day. But what I'd say to this is if you guys answer yes to too much or too little, it is possibly because you're not eating as frequently as you need to, and you need to sit down and, like, when you make your meal plan or you make a food log, you look at it and you say, wow, I'm only eating 2 meals a day. They're pretty large meals because you're naturally going to get your caloric load. And you could scale that out to eating 4 smaller meals a day, or even six. 6 small meals a day is fantastic. You might have a bigger breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but you also have 3 snacks that are up there in calories. And it's the way to go. You maintain a level energy throughout the day. If you eat and you have long periods of time between your eating cycles, you actually can dip down in energy and then you fly way back up. And when you eat a bunch of food, like you guys know on Thanksgiving, it can actually have the reverse effect right away. It takes a long time for you to digest. That's why we need to eat 5 hours before our game when we have our pregame meal. Some other questions on the screen here that you guys can answer that will really help you realize if you have a healthy relationship with food. If you're proud and you look forward to your meals, you most likely have a good relationship with food, and you can find the place where all of your favorite foods fit. If you love pancakes, you can hop those in for breakfast here and there. You can find really good protein pancakes out there to make super easy. If you have any concerns, I just urge you to speak with a licensed counselor on this, and you can easily figure stuff out and get back to it. But if you don't have a healthy relationship with food, it's tough to have that enriched life that we're talking about, that everyone's goal is. So when we start to jump into quality, we're talking about just briefly a couple of these, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a plug in and say, if you guys want to hear specifically some pregame nutrition seminars, postgame nutrition seminars, and things we're going to talk about here, let us know in the comments below so we can put out content for you. We're going to try to start a nutrition series where we just have a bunch of stuff out there, and it's basically led by you guys. So if you want to hear more about pregame, let us know. I'll make a video on it. I'll do my research and get stuff all down pat for you guys. So we're gonna establish right away is that this whole pregame is something, I don't know. I don't really like it too much because it's really just pre-performance to me. Pre-performance to nutrition. I get kind of frustrated when I see athletes across the board. They take a game so seriously, but then it comes to practice and they basically show up and leave. And there's really, yeah, you put in your time, you do what you need to do, but we should treat practice the same way that we treat a game. You should be eating a pre-practice meal. You should be consuming your fluids the same you would for a game before practice. You should be warming up, talking on an off-ice level. You should be warming up for your practices, doing a little bit of juggling, ball work in the hallway. It doesn't have to be 2 hours worth before practice, but even just something. Going through your routine 50% faster than you would pregame. But keeping some of these important things in mind for practice are going to help you build that so you're more ready when game day comes. You've tried it, because you don't want to try anything new on game day. As far as food goes, if you've never had Chipotle, you don't want to jump in and grab Chipotle because you don't really know how your body's going to react to it. So remember pregame on game day, you want to do things that you know work. You want to stick your pregame meal 5 hours before the game, and then you want to have a snack of some sort before. And we want to limit fiber. So some great snacks you could have before would be a piece of white bread with a little bit of peanut butter, some orange slices after you take all the peeling off, a banana, but really any other fruits and vegetables are just not good choices because they have so much fiber in them. Um, with your pregame meal, you're watching fiber quite a bit. I mean, obviously, like I said, with potatoes, it gets tough because even the skin on potatoes can be enough to throw you over. Everyone's different. Some people are affected by it more than others. So if you make your log and you realize, yeah, hey, I kind of, I felt like I really wasn't all there energy-wise, go back and look at what you had for your meal. And if you can't figure it out, come talk to a dietitian about it. We have what we give to our goalies at camp, this 48-hour plan, and I'll just throw it on the screen briefly. We're not going to go over the entire thing, but it has in here drinking those amounts of water, the 16 ounces 2 hours before game time, and just that extra glass, that extra 8 ounces right before. Also has the meal 5 hours before game day, um, or before game time. Here it actually has 4, but I would even push it back to 5. 4 is like the all-time minimal amount of time to give your body some time. And for that one, if you're going to have carbs, you don't want to have whole wheat. You want to have refined noodles, white rice, white breads. If you're having a sandwich for your pregame meal, that's what we're talking about with low fiber. Minimizing the beans, probably not a good thing to have on game day. So that's why, like, if you're going to Chipotle or something, just take it easy on the dairy, take it easy on the guac, take it easy on the beans, double the rice, stuff like that, because fats and more so fiber will slow you down. So it says high in carbohydrates right here. Then we're looking at the timing as well on here that you guys can check out as to when to kind of warm up and more of the off-ice stuff that we can get into at a later time. If you want a copy of this, you can let us know, email us, or drop something in the comments and we'll connect with you. Well, moving on to post-game, this is a whole nother topic, but you want to basically consume foods as soon as you can. So before you even celebrate the big victory, the big win, grab a peanut butter sandwich or grab some beef jerky and a piece of fruit. Something that has a 2-to-1 ratio. A lot of people think that protein is like the only thing you need after a workout, but actually you want 2 servings of carbs per about every 1 serving of protein. So, and then also you can't forget about fluids. You want to replenish your fluids, and if you want to know more about replenishing fluids, I can help you out with that with some resources on how much weight you lose and figuring out how much fluid you need afterwards. But most of you aren't going to weigh yourself after a workout. So what I would say is just drink until you're not thirsty anymore and just be aware of it. That's really the big thing. And if we want to know more about post-game stuff, we can definitely drop it in. Again, this is not just post-game. This is post-workout. This is post-practice. All of it should fit together into one. Talking about supplements, because we're talking about post-game, a lot of people will just immediately go to, I'm going to have a protein shake. I'm going to have a protein bar. That's good. Most likely those bars are going to have a good ratio of carbs to protein. So if it's the only thing you have accessible to you, great. But here's the basic rule. Food first, supplement second. Food first, all the time. If you can eat food, do it. If you have the ability to get enough vitamin D in your diet, go for it. If you don't, that's the time to supplement. And living in North Dakota, and for a lot of us here, it's a difficult thing to do because we don't have that much sunlight, and really there are limited foods to us by the time they get to us. Vitamin D is just tough. So one of the things here, just as an example, is I take vitamin D and it feels good because I feel like it's something that's just not in my diet, and the more that I do food logs and kind of analyze some of that stuff, it's missing. The other reason to supplement would be if you have a known medical concern. Like some people have to supplement because they simply just can't process protein at the rate that you guys can to get enough in. So they have to just get as much as they possibly can so their body can get enough. But for the most part, you want food first. And I will finish off with this, guys. This is only the beginning of everything that we could talk about. We can break down any one of these points way more. We can go into so many of these things. I might go live one day in our training group and just be at the store when some of this COVID-19 stuff goes down and just walk you guys around and do a little grocery store tour of what's what, read some labels. I think that'd be kind of a cool thing to do. But in the end, if you have questions, ask us. You can give us a shout, pop something down in the comments. We'd be glad to answer, and or consult with a dietitian that you know of, because they can help you out. Use your resources well. We have choosemyplate.gov, which is a government resource, and right now they're putting out some great stuff to help you out with shopping, with what to eat, with your energy levels. Helps you out with all serving sizes. If you have any questions on what was a serving size of fruit, you can pop on there. It'll tell you fruit juice, difference of fruit. All the different servings are on there, what your plate should look like. And then MyFitnessPal is the app I was talking about, putting a plug-in for. It's a great app. You can actually barcode scan objects now when you go out, and you can add it to your food log. So if you're not journal writers and you don't want to carry something with you and you just want to use your device, you can even go out to eat. Most restaurants are on there. Pull up their menu, pick what you had, and it'll automatically throw it in, and it'll analyze it for you. It'll tell you your macros, and if you purchase the plan, it'll tell you all of your micronutrients. But really, if you look at your macros, we would be able to see what you're missing, mostly just from that. So if you guys have any questions, be open to some questions now. Pop them in the chat, and if I don't know the answer, I'll just look up later, and I would get back to you guys. I apologize for that. That at the beginning we had, I don't know, my headset just decided to turn off, so that was tough. But I hope everything was good coming through. I'm just going to stick around for a bit here to see if you guys have any questions in the chat. And then we will end the stream for today, and I appreciate everyone for tuning in. It's been fun after the mix-up. It's a reminder that we have live attendee talk this Friday. We're going to be breaking down, Nate and I are going to be breaking down the top 5 things that we feel like goaltenders should know. And they're going to be on-ice fundamentals. They're going to be off-ice fundamentals mixed in. What are 5 things that we wish our goalies would know? We're going to be breaking that down as a countdown, going from 5 down to 1. And then we're going to have another live Q&A after that one. So definitely tune in for that. That's going to be at 4 p.m. on Friday. And then on Saturday this week at about 11 a.m. we are going to be going live on our YouTube channel again, and we are going to have a chess tournament. And anyone in our group is welcome to join us in that tournament. It's going to be just kind of a fun event set up. We might put something up for the winner, not sure yet. We'll have to figure that out. But everyone that's in our group is welcome to join us, and if you want in and you're not in our group, send us a message, put something in the comments, challenge us, and we'll probably let you in. Goalies only though. It's got to be goalies only chess. But if someone was in there that wasn't a goalie, they'd get worked over because goalies are pretty smart. We know that. But it looks like there aren't too many questions popping in. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. If you have questions, I'll answer them later on. Thanks for tuning in. It's good to see you guys again, and we'll catch you later.
The seasons come and go like thoughts of you. Like a wave returns to the sea, into the blue. They change but in a cycle that I can't lose. Each painful but delightful to live through. You came into my life just like another season. Not for long, just a time. This time next year, for no reason, but I'll cherish. The seasons turn and change just like your mind. Like the sun gives into the moon, into the night. Time continues marching, it slowly crawls. With each new one starting, I recall. You came into my life just like another season. Not for long, just a time, just like another season. Maybe this time next year you'll reap me for no reason, but I'll cherish every day until you come my way this season. Each time of year carries memories, like a never fading whisper in the breeze. Oh, we will keep on changing.